I'm gonna wait one more minute and then we will get started. What's up, Dino? Welcome. What's the difference from a master to a national master to an international master? So master just means you're over 2200, and so most federations will give you the NM title, national master title, if you make 2200 in that federation's rating system. So for me, I'm in the US, so I made 2200 USCF rating, and then they give me the NM title. I think it's pretty similar in other countries too, if you make 2200 in whatever rating they use for their federation. And then international master, you have to have a rating of, I think minimum 20, it's either 24 or 2500. And then you also have to get norms, which are like, basically you play in tournaments with a bunch of strong players, and if you score a certain number of points, you can get a norm. So it's pretty tricky to do. Much harder than a national master. National master, you get 2200 and you get the title. Not that that's easy, but international master is significantly harder, and then grandmaster, same thing, significantly harder. Because you have to have a higher rating for grandmaster norms, and then also play against a certain number of grandmasters, and different federations have to be in the tournament that you play in, and you have to do that like 3 times. Okay, is it 2500 for GM and 24 for IM? Okay. Yeah, I can't ever remember. All right, it is past 8:30, so we will get started. I'll just turn down the music just a little bit so that's not distracting anyone. Is there anything between NM and IM? Yeah, FM is FIDE master, so I think I want to say it's 2300 FIDE rating and you become a FIDE master. So it's like a little bit harder than national master and not as hard as international master. Did I work hard to get NM? Yeah, I mean, initially when I was kind of starting out, I studied quite a bit. Not like that hard. I did other stuff in life. I like played sports and college and all that good stuff, so I didn't like just devote everything to chess, but still I put a lot of time into it. So what's up, guys? Okay, we are going to look at the Queen's Gambit. I'm going to do a very basic overview for any beginners who have no idea what Queen's Gambit is, and then we will get into the 6 traps that I'm going to show you. There's going to be 3 traps for white and then 3 traps for black. And some of them are pretty interesting, and so even if you don't play the Queen's Gambit, I think you will enjoy seeing the traps. And then we will finish off with the minority attack, which is fairly common in the Queen's Gambit Declined, and it's a good idea to know just in general. Sometimes you can use it in other positions too. So that's a little bit more advanced, but we'll get to that at the end. So Queen's Gambit, you play c4 and you give black this pawn. Now, the Queen's Gambit is not really a true gambit in the sense that you're really worried about losing this pawn. Like, there are certain openings that you can, when you play them, you gambit pawns and those pawns are just gone. So like, think Danish Gambit, right? When you give away these pawns, they're basically just gone, and then you play the game down 2 pawns and you have compensation, but your 2 pawns are gone. In Queen's Gambit, if black tries to take this pawn and hold on to it, usually they get into trouble. So most of the time you can almost always play e3 or e4 and recapture your pawn back. So you don't really have to worry about losing a pawn when you play the Queen's Gambit. And then the idea is, if they do accept it, it's a lot easier for you to play e4. You can play it right away, or some people actually just play e3 and then develop a bunch of pieces and then play e4 later. That's okay too. But whenever you do want to play e4, it's a lot easier to do it because this pawn has been moved over here, right? So that's kind of the idea. Now, obviously, black doesn't have to accept the gambit. So that's Queen's Gambit accepted. If they don't accept it, you've got Queen's Gambit declined, just playing e6. And then, you know, one issue with Queen's Gambit declined is that the bishop gets stuck behind this pawn chain. So some people prefer to play what's called the Slav, which is c6. And you can see the difference is that this bishop can come out. Now, even though it can come out, a lot of times it's risky to move this bishop out too early because the queen can come over to b3 and you have to watch out for you know, weaknesses here whenever you move the bishop. So we're actually going to see that in one of the traps that we look at a little bit later, how this can be dangerous for black moving that bishop too early. So there's that. And then if black plays e6 and c6, this is called the semi-Slav. It's basically like Queen's Gambit declined and Slav kind of combined, and so semi-Slav. It's almost like a reverse London. So if you remember the London for white, your pawns kind of go like this. Same sort of thing with the semi-Slav for black. So those are kind of the different ways to approach it. Super basic overview of the main lines in the Queen's Gambit. So if there's any like questions on that, go ahead and ask, and then I'm gonna get ready to do the traps. So I'm gonna pull up something. I put together a study, so I'm gonna just load that real quick. Okay, so it looks like everybody's good with that. All right, so let me flip the board. And we will get started with the first trap. So you remember when I said earlier that if black tries to take the pawn, they can't really hold on to it. So there's a trap where if you play e3, you're basically saying, all right, I'm going to just take the pawn next move. And some people who don't know any better will say, no, I'm going to play b5 and prevent you from taking it. This is actually pretty bad. And what you can do is play the move a4. And a4 is threatening the pawn. And next move, you're just going to take it and then take this. And so black kind of has two options to defend it with another pawn. a6 is really bad because you just capture it and you've got a pin here on the rook. If they try to take, you just take the rook. So that doesn't work. But what most people, I shouldn't say most people, what a lot of people think is that they can play c6. And then it looks like, and actually let's see, how many people have played c6 in this position? 35,000 people have played c6. So a lot of people have fallen for this trap. But at this point, you're basically already done for. So white captures. And then when black recaptures, I'll give you guys a second. What is the move that white plays to win material? How does white win material? Yeah, a couple people are saying it. The move is queen f3, and the point is you're attacking the rook, which happens to be trapped, and if black tries to block it with any pieces, like let's say the knight, well, you just take it, or the bishop, you just take it, or the queen, you just take it. So essentially black has to choose which of these four pieces they want to lose. I think it's kind of funny, but yeah, that's the trap. Like I said, it's been played quite a few times. So if you haven't seen that, definitely make a note of this. If you're playing black and you accept the gambit, don't try to hang on to the pawn by playing b5. It's probably not going to turn out well for you. And if you're playing this as a white and somebody tries to do that, this is what you can do. All right, so that's trap number 1 for white. Let's go back and look at another one. So when you play e3, the other one actually arises out of this same position. If black is a little bit smarter, they know to not do this. Most people play knight f6. This is a pretty natural developing move, and then you can take back the pawn. And some people like to fianchetto. I don't know. I always used to say fianchetto, but a lot of people are telling me it's fianchetto. So I guess we'll say fianchetto. If you fianchetto the bishop here, you have to be careful, and I'll show you what can happen. So g6, and if you're white, you can just develop knight f3, and then after bishop g7, there's a really tricky move that's not very common, but it's very hard for black to know how to defend against it. So does anyone have any ideas what the move might be? Jay said, why e3 over e4? Yeah, e4 is a more aggressive way to approach it. E3 is kind of, slowly build up, solidify d4, develop all your pieces, and then you play e4 later, which kind of goes in the style of a lot of queen d4 players. They like to slow down the game and just sort of, grind out an advantage. Personally, I would probably play e4 just because it's more aggressive. But then you do have to worry about like e5 and c5, and now this pawn is much weaker than if the pawn's on e3. But it's kind of a personal preference thing. Alright, so somebody said queen b3. Somebody said knight e5. Okay. Somebody said take the f pawn. That's very aggressive. I don't think it quite works here. I'll turn on stockfish. Well, actually, I shouldn't turn on stockfish yet because I don't want to give it away the other lines. Let me do this for a second. All right. Nobody has said the right move. So first of all, a lot of these ideas that you're saying aren't bad, but the problem is, like, for example, knight e5. Well, black can just castle, and it very easily deals with this threat. Remember, we don't want to give up 2 pieces for a rook and a pawn. Even though it's 6 points and 6 points, usually giving up the 2 pieces like that is bad for you, and the person who has the 2 pieces is going to do better. So we don't really want to take that. So that's why, knight e5 is kind of easy to deal with. So the move that you can play is queen a4 check, and it looks like a random queen move. Like, why would we go there and put him in check? But what you'll find is that a lot of black's responses are not good. And so, for example, and let's just go one at a time here. Like, let's say bishop d7, right? This is a pretty common way to defend a queen check. You go with the bishop because it attacks the queen. Now, what can we play? What's the move now? Oh, I guess I need to turn this off. Sorry, guys. I'm just giving away the answers here. All right, there we go. Yeah, queen b3. I guess you already saw it. So the point now is that queen b3 is a double attack because we have this and we have this. And so there's no way that black can really defend both of them. And so this is pretty good for white. So that's the first idea, okay? On bishop d7, we have queen b3. What's another move that black could play here? How about knight c6? Just a natural kind of developing move to block the check. Does anyone see what we can play now? We started the queen's gambit traps right at 8:30. This is the second trap, so we've only looked at one, and this will be posted on the YouTube channel after, so you can always catch it there. Okay, some people are saying d5. So d5, there's 2 black pieces, so black would just take it, I believe. Yeah, just takes. bishop b5. So bishop b5 you could try, but then I think black could just play bishop d7 and be okay. So that's not the move. Yeah, a couple people are saying it. Knight e5. Knight e5 now is really strong. And the reason is because you got this. And you also have this. And both of those threats are, you know, annoying for black to deal with. Like if they try to defend this one, then you just take this. And if they try to like castle, then you can take this and basically win a pawn. So, yeah, good job everyone who saw that one. So let's go back and look at another move. How about knight b to d7? Seems like another kind of natural looking move. This one is actually really cool. Black is in even worse trouble here. So what does white play? How does white get a completely crushing position? Okay, everybody's saying 95 again. Somebody says castle. Somebody says bishop takes f7. Lots of knight e5s, h4. So knight e5, it's only basically threatening one thing now, right? Before it was threatening two things. So that was why it was so much better before. Now, this isn't a threat. There's nothing happening there. So black can just castle and black's fine. So, yeah, a couple people have said the right move. Bishop takes f7. So the point here is that after black captured, well, I'll give you guys a chance now. Well, what's the move now? How do we follow up? This is correct, but how do we follow up? Faz is saying queen b3. Okay. Any other ideas? Knight e5. Okay, so we have two suggestions so far. A couple people are saying knight g5. So the correct move is, yeah, I'm just waiting a second. Yeah, you guys are seeing it now. Correct move is knight to g5. And so first of all, knight to e5, and black can just take it. Queen b3. Queen b3 is not a bad move. I think it's still pretty good for white, but it's not as good as knight g5. So knight g5 is completely crushing because black only has 3 legal moves. This one is pretty obvious. There's a fork, and you lose the queen. So that doesn't make sense. And then here, you can still play knight e6, and that's a smothered queen. A smothered queen checkmate. And then the only other move is king here. And what do you guys play if they do that? What's the move here? Yeah, you guys are seeing it. So both of these moves are correct. It's actually mate in 4. The only thing black can do is block with some pieces to delay it. And then you have mate on f7. So that's a really cool one. And all that came from sacking the bishop here and then knight g5. Okay, so that was after knight b to d7. So pretty nice little trap there. All right. So we've looked at bishop d7, we've looked at knight c6, we've looked at knight b to d7. Let's see, what else do I have on my list here? Queen to d7, okay, is also a bad move. What's the tactic for white here? Oh, just a guy. If they don't take the bishop and they move their king over, then that's fine. I mean, you got a free pawn, and they can't castle, and you can just develop a piece. You can move your bishop back if you want, like whatever you want. It's going to be a good position for you. So, yeah, good question. People are saying bishop f7. Yeah, so bishop f7 is correct, and then after the king takes, you've got the fork, winning the queen. So that is correct. What app am I using? This is Lichess. This is lichess.org. I just made a study that has all these lines in it. So after we go through the traps, if you guys want, I can share the link to the study. I think I made it public, so you should be able to see it. What if king f8? Yeah, so king f8. Okay, so I'll just show this again. You know, king f8 is not a big deal. You can just do whatever you want, like trade queens and move your bishop back, and you're just one a pawn, and black can't castle, and you're just up a pawn. So there's nothing to worry about there. Okay, so we looked at queen d7. So black's best move is actually c6. c6 is kind of like the only not bad move for black. And so that's why this is so tricky. There's so many ways that black can go wrong. But c6 is the good move for black. And they're actually threatening to play b5 and fork your queen and your bishop. And so you would probably have to just retreat the queen maybe to b3. Black will castle. And then you're just playing like normal chess. Like you didn't really lose too much by going there except a wasted tempo. So you lose one tempo. Position's basically equal now. You can just castle and keep playing. So sometimes when you set traps, you have to kind of go into a bad position if the opponent knows what to do. In this case, you're still just equal. So you're not really losing a lot by setting the trap with queen a4. So any questions on this one? I know we looked at quite a few lines. Any questions before we go to the third trap? Is How to Beat Your Dad at Chess book worth it? You know, I've never read that. I beat my dad when I was 7, before I even went into a tournament, so I didn't really need that one. I don't know. Did I look at knight c6? Yes, we looked at knight c6. Knight c6 was just knight e5, because you have a double attack here, a fork. What's my dad's rating? He doesn't play in tournaments, so he doesn't have an official rating. If I had to guess, if I had to guess, I would probably, what am I trying to do here? I'm trying to go to this line. My dad's probably like maybe 1100. He's not super consistent. Like he has some really good ideas at times and he can play really, really well. But then he kind of makes some blunders here and there sometimes. So he might play at like an 800 level one game and then like 1400 level the next game. So I would have to probably say like 1100 if I had to guess. Knight fd7. That's a good question. I don't think we looked at that one. Let's see. I'll turn on the engine for this one. I'll let you guys see the stuff here. Okay, so knight fd7. Oh, yeah, that makes sense. So it's the exact same trap, basically, with knight b to d7. You take it, and then you follow up knight g5. The only difference is that the king can go there, but it's not good for black. I mean, that's really bad, right? So other than that, everything's the same as far as these three moves, and the knight's going to go into e6, or the queen's going to come over. So only good move for black is c6. Anything else, and you're going to be way ahead. So c6, then you have to play queen b3. You don't want to get forked. And then just, you know, play chess. Can you recommend a good chess book? Yeah, I have a bunch of books recommended on my, like in the description of all my YouTube videos. I have some books down there, like a tactics one, an endgame one, opening one. So I would recommend just checking that. Okay, I think we are ready to go on to trap number 3. So let's see. Okay, I have one more trap for white, and then we'll switch and look at the traps for black. So this one, what is this one? Let me see, I have to remember. Is this the one? Yes, 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 yes. Okay. So remember earlier I talked about the Slav, and one of the things about the Slav versus the Queen's Gambit decline is that in the Slav, you allow this bishop to come out. But that comes with some risks, namely queen b3 attacking this b7 pawn, right? So this is a good example of that. Okay, so this is a trap. So, you know, very natural move, natural move. You play knight f3. This is pretty standard stuff in the Queen's Gambit. And if black immediately plays bishop f5, this is already not looking so great for black, okay? And I'm going to turn off the engine because I want to do a little test with you guys in just a second here. So I'm going to turn these things off for a moment. So we've got bishop f5. We capture on d5. This is an important move. You want to capture because you don't really want black to be able to take this in some of the lines that we're going to look at. So you trade off the pawn right away. And then you play the move queen to b3. And this is, first of all, attacking the pawn. And it's also doing some other things, but it's not apparent right away. So the most common move that's played here is queen to b6 for black. And you actually have a tactic now where you can win a pawn. So what do you play as white in this position? Does anyone see the move? White to play and win some material? Yeah. Yep, very good. Pretty much everyone is seeing it. So you take on d5, and the point is that if black takes you back with a knight, well then you just take it and you want a pawn. And if they take your queen, you throw in this little check so that you don't lose your knight, and then you take the queen. So essentially you win the d pawn for free. So that's the trick. And so that's why queen b6 is not really great for black. Okay, so going back, sorry, music was sounding weird for a second. All right, so queen b6 is not good. The next most common move played is b6. Adam says it better to check on c7. Okay, good question. I want to talk about that, so let me go back to that for a moment. The check on c7 is not good because black's going to move the king and attack your knight at the same time. And you have to take the queen back, or you can't just leave black's queen sit there. If you take the rook, then the queen just goes away. But when you take the queen, you lose your knight. And you end up not getting this knight like you should have. Now you're just down a piece. So that's why knight c7 doesn't work, and you have to just trade. Good idea, but that's the idea. So, okay. So the second most common move that black plays is b6. Seems pretty logical, right? You want to just stop the queen from taking the pawn. And now white has a killer move. It's not easy to see. So I'll give you guys a chance, but don't feel bad if you don't find this one. We'll look at it afterwards. But what do you think the best move for white is? Sorry, those arrows don't mean anything. I was just hovering over random moves. All right, we got bishop g5, e4, question mark, queen b5, e4, yeah. So bishop g, there's actually two ways that you can play the trap. Bishop g5 works as well, but I like Stockfish's recommendation because I guess it's maybe a little bit more forcing, but e4. And so this is the move, and this is kind of a complicated position, but the point is, or I should say one of the points is you're opening up this bishop, and this becomes very, very dangerous for black in a lot of the lines going forward. So that's one thing, and you're also doing it with tempo, so black has to deal with your pawn because you're attacking the bishop. And so when you put those things together, it's really bad for black. So let's look at a couple of lines and see if we can figure out why that's the case. First, let's just go with the most common move is capturing with the pawn. So what can we play? And the move is not bishop to b5 check, even though that's still a good move. There's a better way to approach it. Does anyone have any ideas? I look like Elon Musk. No one's ever told me that before. Knight to e5, yes. I think a lot of people are seeing it. So yeah, knight e5 is the best way to approach it because immediately you have a checkmate threat. But you are also setting up your knight to control these squares, which is important. But first of all, black has to deal with this threat, right? And the most obvious way to do that is to probably play e6. So after e6, now we can follow it up with this check, and this is obviously not an option, so we really just have this move. And then what do we play now? And this is kind of another tough move to find for white. We're in a good position, right? This is really good, but it's defended well enough right now. So how do we make progress here? Okay, some people are saying queen a4. Somebody's saying bishop g5. Okay. Lots of queen a4s, lots of bishop g5s. So queen a4, I'm actually curious, is not the move, but why is that not the move? What is... Because black just plays a6, and if you try to take, he's got enough defenders. Okay, so that's why queen a4. Bishop g5 is a very good move. And I think bishop g5 actually, there's actually two moves. The move that I was looking for, nobody said, I don't think. Did anyone say it? No. Nobody said the move I was looking for. But bishop g5 basically also accomplishes the same thing. So we'll talk about bishop g5 first. Bishop g5, now there's a double pin, and black's in a big bind, because if something like bishop e7, you can just simply take this knight, and then you have enough attackers that you're going to win a piece. So good job if you said bishop g5. The move that I guess Stockfish likes a little bit more is g4. Attacks the bishop, and when the bishop goes back, you can follow it up with g5. And you're kind of doing the same thing, except in a different way. You're forcing the knight to move, and then you're going to take here. But like we just looked at, bishop g5 basically accomplishes the same thing. So either way works. You're just taking advantage of this pin. But this was kind of the move that I was looking for, because I think it's good to keep those moves in the back of your mind, right? It's a double pawn push with tempo to attack both pieces. So kind of a cool way to remove the defender of this piece. Somebody said bishop takes on g4. Okay, so if the bishop takes on g4, then the knight will just take it. Actually, hold on a second. That's a good question. Good question, because this is defending. What's the move here? Yeah, I looked at this line earlier, and I had the same question. It's knight takes e4. So basically, the bishop was defending this pawn by sacrificing g4. Now it's not, so now you can play knight takes e4. Let me turn on the engine so you can see what I'm seeing. Check it out. 6.6 for white after this. Now, why this is so much better than like bishop g5, I couldn't tell you, but Stockfish really likes it for some reason. So, I mean, what do you play here for black, I guess, is the question. What do you play? Bishop e7 is probably what I would try, but yeah, then you just take it and then take here. Yeah, it's interesting that Stockfish likes this so much better than the bishop g5 line, but same idea. I mean, you got to get rid of the knight, and then this is a free piece. So either way, you can go here, you can play g4, g5, you can play g4, and then knight takes e4. However you do it, get rid of the knight, got a free piece. Okay. Take the knight, somebody said. Then you've got bishop d7 check. And if king e7, there's a lot of good moves, but f3, forking these guys. And you get the bonus. The black's king is like not in a good way. Yeah, this is a really complicated position, because a lot of these moves are like, I don't know that I would ever think of that. But that's the idea. So any questions on that? We saw queen b6, and then we saw b6. Stockfish likes it because the g-pawn's out of the way. Yeah, you get that open file, you can attack him some more. I guess so. All right, cool. So that is trap number 3. So we've looked at 3 traps for white, and now we're going to switch and look at some traps for black. So let's flip the board here for a second. Let's go back to the beginning. And what do I have for traps for black? Okay, not that. Do I want to do the Albin counter gambit now? Yeah, we'll do that one. That's a fun one. Let's do that one. So this is the Albin counter gambit. I don't know a ton about it, but I know that there's one trap that you definitely should know. And if you don't know this one, you're going to learn it right now. So main line basically is to capture. And let me turn on the moves for a second. And then d4. And you can see here, people that know what they're doing will either play knight f3 or a3. A3 looks like a weird move, but you know, stopping this bishop is really useful. It's very, very useful, and so that's why that's played quite a bit, and also knight f3. But the third move here, e3, this looks like a pretty logical move. Like you're just trying to attack the pawn, you want to trade it off, get it out of the way so you can bring your knight out. That is where the trap happens. So you have e3. Just follow the main moves here. Most natural way to block is with the bishop. Then you can capture the pawn. And then I guess a good number of people actually do take back with the pawn, which is not really falling into the trap, but it's still good for black. Yeah, you just play queen h4 check, and you get into a pretty nice position after g3, queen e4. Pretty fine to play for black. But what a lot of people try to do is take this bishop, because there's nothing protecting the bishop. You can just take it. Now, there's a little tactic here where you take the pawn, and the king can't take because you win the queen. But what a lot of people from white's perspective in this position calculate is, okay, I can't take the pawn, but I can move my king to e2, and then after takes, I can trade queens and take it back, right? And so captures here, and then they think, you know, queen, trade, take it back. And this position is basically equal. I mean, everybody has 3 pieces, the pawns are pretty even, it's just equal position. That's what a lot of players who play white calculate, if you didn't know this trap or you didn't think through the move. But the best move is right here. Instead of getting a queen, somebody already said it, you under promote to a knight. So it's with check. So white can't just trade and take your piece. Have to move the king somewhere. And after that, now you can go queen h4 check, and it's, what is it, -9 for black. You're just all over white, and you have an extra piece just kind of sitting there for the moment. But white's real problem is their king. So like king d2, and then what? Yeah, just knight c6, creating a threat. I'm assuming bringing the bishop out next, probably castling, all sorts of good ideas for black. So this is basically the trap. So any questions on this one? All right, so I think everybody's good there. My rating is 2200 USCF. Okay, so let's move on to some more traps. I didn't cover bishop g4 check. Oh, yes. Thank you for saying that. Good point. Very good point. So you take with the knight. Ah, yes. So if the rook takes your knight, somebody mentioned it. Who said that? Who said that? Kellum. Yeah, thank you. Or if I pronounce that right, bishop g4 is correct, and you're just skewering the king and the queen. I forgot to mention that. So they can't take the knight. That's why they have to move, and then the queen comes out like we looked at. Very good. Very good. Okay. Best way to avoid it as white. Yeah, so going back here, instead of e3, knight f3 is the main move, and then I guess it just doesn't work now. Let's see. So if black tries to do the same thing, you play bishop d2. Yeah, there's no pawn to capture, so there's no trap here at all. It's just whatever, you just take it. There's no trap at all. So yeah, knight f3 is the move, not e3. Or a3. That's the other way. You can also play a3 just to stop the bishop completely. But I think knight f3 is probably a little bit better. So if you're looking for the better line, play knight f3. Okay. Let's go on to trap number 5. We have 5 and 6 left to do. 5 is pretty common. I'm guessing a lot of you have probably seen this one, but if not, you definitely should know this one. So we've got normal Queen's Gambit decline stuff. White's developing, black's developing, bishop comes out, and now you can play this move. And if you've never seen this before, and I'll turn these off just so that we don't get any spoiler alerts. If you've never seen this before, you might think that black just blundered because, well, there's this, and then this, and then the knight can take because this is pinned. And you can't take back or you're losing your queen. So does anyone who has not seen this before know why this is okay for black to do? Why is it okay to take this knight and give up our queen? Somebody who's not seen it. Jay, no, I don't think it's bad. I don't think it's bad above 1400. I think when you get maybe above 2000, that's when I would start potentially thinking about switching it up. But anything under 2000, totally think it's fine. It's a famous trick. Yes, it is a famous trick. All right, a lot of people are saying they see it. A couple people, yeah. So the point is, after you lose your queen, you've got bishop to b4 check. And white has no choice but to give back their queen. And you can take the bishop and just leave that for a move if you want because it's pinned. I think that's a little bit better. Or you can just take it and then take here. And you have 3 pieces, white only has 2. So you come out up a piece there. So if you haven't seen that and you're lower rated, this is pretty good. A lot of players can fall for this. Let's see, how many players have fallen for this? 6,500 people have taken this. So quite a few. All right. And by the way, if you're playing as white, just play like e3 or knight f3, and then you're threatening to take it because then your knight can block that bishop, or if the pawn's up, your king can move. So that's what you do as white. Okay, so that one is called the elephant trap, by the way. I have a video, I think, on the channel about that. And like people have said, it's pretty famous. So that's definitely one that you want to know, regardless of which side you're playing in the Queen's Gambit. Now, let's go on to the last one. And the last one, actually, when I was preparing for tonight, I was looking over some traps, and I didn't know this one prior to doing this stream. So basically, you can start the same way. So you start just like this, and then assuming that white knows what they're doing, they're not going to do that. They're probably going to play a move like e3. This is pretty normal. You know, these are kind of just normal developing moves in the Queen's Gambit. What you can do is play c6. So we've got like a sort of like a reverse London type of setup. Knight f3. And you play the move queen to a5. And here you are setting the trap. And if white just does a normal looking move, bishop to d3, you've got a nice little trick. And this is pretty common in the Queen's Gambit, like bishop goes to d3 a lot of the time. So what can we play as black? What can we play as black in this position? Kevin just won 3 games in a row. Nice. Very nice. Yeah, this is the Cambridge Springs defense for black. Some people are saying knight e4. D takes c4, wins a piece. Yeah, you guys got it. So, yeah, d takes c4 is correct. The point is, you're attacking this, you're attacking this, and after the recapture, you've got knight to e4. And you're not really winning a piece, but you are winning, you know, like a pawn, I guess, and kind of getting into a nice position. So this is the big threat for white. This is kind of a secondary, smaller threat, but still a threat. And so like after bishop h4, you could just take here, takes, and you won a pawn, right? So you have 3, 6, 7 pawns, and white has 6 pawns. Knight to d2, and then you can play like bishop b4. And yeah, just pleasant position for black, but that's kind of the trap there. Questions or concerns about that? Just to recap, this is where the trap happens basically after bishop d3. I started playing chess when I was 4. Played in my first tournament when I was 9. That's when I started to get somewhat serious about chess, and yeah. How does he save the white bishop? So that's a good question. The knight defends it, and then when you pin it, there's rook c1. And then what is the move for black? Yeah, you just have to trade. Oh, I can turn it on again. You just have to trade here. And basically you go into an endgame up a pawn. It's funny because it's not one of those traps where you're just completely crushing, but you're playing as black and you get into an endgame up a pawn. You can't really complain about that. I mean, Stockfish says it's equal, but I mean, practically speaking, I would much prefer to be black with the pawn. Position's somewhat closed off, so I like this for black. Openings for black against d4. Yeah. I'm planning on making a course where I talk about one of my sort of secret weapons as black against d4. It's something that I've been learning recently. So I don't want to give that away. I mean, d4 is hard to like... I guess just d5. Just play d5 and then do like basic stuff is all I could say. There's not like any opening that I would say like, oh, this is, you know, what you should play. It's not like e4 where there's lots of different options that are, you know, pretty good. It's like d4. It's just d4. I don't know. The French, the Benoni. Will this be a video? Yes, this will be a video. Jay says the Dutch. Yeah, the Dutch is a good... The Dutch is tricky, though. For a lot of beginners, I don't know if I would recommend the Dutch. But if you're a more advanced player, then the Dutch is fine. It leads to some pretty wild positions. So, yeah, you can check out the Dutch. But be careful, because when you open up these diagonals, you have to know what you're doing. So if you're a complete beginner, be careful. All right. those are the traps. The other thing that I want to make sure we get to is the minority attack. So does anyone here already know what the minority attack is? Have you heard about that before? Or is that kind of a new thing? I'm gonna load another study here. Oh, by the way, I told people I would give this, so let me come over here, do this. All right, I just posted a link in the chat for you guys if you want to check out the opening traps that we looked at. I think you can use that as long as I made it public, which I believe I did. Yeah, somebody just joined. People are joining. Cool. So there you go. Play a game. Yeah, we'll play some games in just a second. I'm going to jump over to another study for now. So here we go. All right. Okay. So minority attack. How do I start with this? Let's see. So in the Queen's Gambit, declined, where black plays e6, sometimes what happens is you can trade these pawns. And as the game goes on, basically what you'll notice is white has 2 pawns here and black has 3 pawns. So I want you to just look at the A, the B, and the C files for a second. Okay, forget about the rest of the board. Right here, white has the minority of pawns. So white has less pawns than black has. 2 against 3. Hence the term minority attack. We're going to be attacking black's 3 pawns using our 2 pawns. Okay. Now, some people might wonder, like, why would you try to attack with less pawns? Like, it seems like you're at a disadvantage. The point, and remember, usually black's king is like over here. So we're not going for the king. We're not going for checkmate. This is a positional type of attack. We're trying to create a positional weakness that we can take advantage of throughout the game. And so basically, you know, at the most basic level, if we can push this pawn up to here, let's say, take this pawn, and black recaptures it, what we have done, and I'll just make some random moves here for a second, and I'm just going to pretend like black lets me do this. Okay, what we have done is create what's called a backward pawn, right? So this pawn has no pawns on adjacent squares that can either protect it or help it advance forward. We have it blockaded. And so this is essentially a target. We can do something like move our knight here, maybe put our queen in our rook, and, you know, bring our knight to e5. We have something that we can attack. This is a weakness that was not there prior to doing the minority attack, right? If I go back a couple moves, I can put my knight on e5. I can put like a bunch of pieces here. It doesn't matter. I'm not going to be able to take that pawn. Like, I'm just going to be losing material if I try to take it. But after we do the minority attack, that's a weakness, okay? So that's the whole point of a minority attack. Now, practically, there's a little bit more involved than just that. There's other ways to create weaknesses as well. You know, for example, if we move this pawn up, let's say we had this pawn here and black captures and then we capture, we may end up getting a target over here with an open, a half open A file. So there's lots of different ways it can play out throughout a game. It's not always that simple, but the basic idea is what I just explained. Weak squares. Yeah, some people are saying that's correct. So the C5 square can become a nice place for your knight to go, right? Like right now, if we put my knight there, B6 can happen, and I gotta move. Once these pawns are traded, this becomes a viable outpost for my knight. So that's correct. Somebody said that as well. Okay, so let's just look at a very basic game here, and I think this is just like me making some random moves. So don't put too much thought into this. Just try to focus on the main idea here. So sometimes players in these queen pawn openings will kind of migrate their pieces over to the king side. And that's a really good time to think about a minority attack, right? Because it's going to be hard to attack the king over here and make anything happen with all these pieces, right? You're going to have a very difficult time, coming up with some sort of mating attack. So this is kind of a perfect situation for when you might want to do a minority attack over on the queen side. And so a lot of the times, there's different ways you can do it. One way would be just to kind of slide your rook over so that you can play b4. Sometimes, like I used to play the Queen's Gambit like a long time ago when I first started, before I switched to e4. Sometimes I would bring both rooks over here and kind of push these pawns together that way. It kind of depends on the situation. It kind of depends on what black is going to be doing. So for this example, I just said, rook b1 and then b4. Okay, and so we're starting the minority attack here, getting ready to play b5 and potentially trade this off and have a weakness there, right? So let's just see what might black do. Maybe knight g6, trade that off, and b5, okay? And so exactly like I talked about, we're getting ready to take this. So what's black going to do in this example? Well, one thing is they could try to just push past, right? So let's see what happens here. c5. I think I analyzed this already. We can capture. And what did I see here? Yeah, so what we've done now is create an isolated pawn on d5. So this is another type of positional weakness that we can now attack. We can bring our pieces here, line up, and try to win a pawn, right? So, there's lots of potential positional weaknesses that can come about from the minority attack. So that's one example, c5. Let's see rook c8. Maybe black just plays rook c8. I think I looked at this too. We can take, and this is kind of the main standard case. Now we have a backward pawn. And so maybe a move like knight a4 would make sense. Maybe bringing this rook over, piling up on that. We can even hop in there if we want with our knight. But we have a weakness, and black doesn't really have a similar weakness to attack on our side of the board, right? Like here, this is not a weakness because we still have a pawn there, and black's not going to very easily be able to do the same thing on the king side. At what point did you swap to e4? Yeah, it's tough, Adam. If you've been playing for a long time with the same openings, it is very tough to switch. I switched early enough. I was like in the middle of my chess career. I had maybe played a couple years with d4, and then I was like, yeah, let's start playing e4. And I didn't have a ton of theory at the time, so I'm like, I'm not going to lose anything by switching to e4. Yeah, that's a decision that's just going to depend on how much time you have to learn some new stuff and how much time you've already put into d4. Somebody said, what if they just capture? So if they just capture, you have an isolated pawn here. So that's one weakness. And you also, let me just see, what is Stockfish like here? Rook takes b5, yeah. So you can also just kind of focus on probably doing something like this. And you still have, it's much easier for us to create an attack than for black to do something with this pawn, right? Like let's say black plays b6. Well, now I'm probably going to be able to play a4, a5, and again, create two isolated pawns, right? Like if I trade these off, black has two isolated pawns and I have beautiful connected pawns. So that's what happens if they take. One thing that I will say is sometimes people play a6. I've seen this a couple times. Is it white's turn or black's turn here? Okay, let's just say, sorry. After b4, let's say instead of knight g6, let's say black's like, okay, I know what you're trying to do. I'm not going to let you do it. I'm going to play a6. They can't really stop you because if they ever play a6, you just play a4. And you're going to do the same thing. So, you know, something like b5, well, in this case, it's just losing to that, but you also, let's just pretend that wasn't there. You could also do this and create a target that way. So it's really hard to stop a minority attack. Now, the downside is it's a slow, I mean, it takes quite a few moves, right? You got to bring the rook over, you got to push the pawn, you got to maybe push another pawn, you got to push this, you got to trade, all to just create a backward pawn. And then you have to do a bunch of more maneuvering to figure out how to get your pieces set up to attack the pawn. And then, you know, eventually, hopefully you can win the pawn. So it's kind of, you know, I wouldn't say like beginners. Like if you're under 1,000, probably don't need to worry about minority attack right now. I think when you start getting to 12, 13, 1400, that's when this becomes a weapon that's really, really good. So questions, comments. Yeah, Adam, no problem. And I guess I would say, like, if you really like playing tactical positions, it's probably worth it to switch. But if you like positional openings and stuff, then keep playing d4. Black will try to attack you on the king side and mate you. Yeah, so that's a good point. That's a good point. You have to be careful when you do this. Like, you can't just, you know, bring all your pieces over here and spend like a million moves doing all this to create a backward pawn if black is like putting all their pieces right in front of your king. So you have to be very careful about how you approach it. But the good news is these moves that I'm playing for black here, it's pretty common in d4 openings. Like black just kind of like doing their thing. They're kind of just playing defensive. They're sort of maneuvering their pieces around. Not a lot of people with black aren't going to like start throwing pieces at your king. So I think a lot of times you will have time to do this. What are the black aims for the minority attack? Yeah, so like somebody said, you know, if you can create counterplay on the king side, that would be one thing. If you can't, then you kind of know when you see a minority attack coming. Like if somebody plays rook b1 and then they play b4, you know, you kind of have an idea of like, okay, they're going to probably go here. They're going to try to give me an isolated pawn. So I guess trying to create a counterplay in some way. So like, let's see what Stockfish actually would do. Like let's pretend for a second we're playing against Stockfish. So rook c8. And if I just continue, like how is Stockfish going to make me pay for this? c5. So I didn't blockade c5 enough, okay? And so I'm thinking I'm just going to take and create an isolated pawn. Rook takes c5. Okay, and so you can see what Stockfish has done is, yes, I gave him an isolated pawn. But he now has a rook pinning this knight. He's got pressure here. And this is not really a weakness at the moment. I mean, it's plenty well defended. So Stockfish is kind of creating counterplay around what I'm trying to do, right? And so that's what you would want to do as black. You would want to try to create counterplay, knowing most likely what white's going to do. You try to find some ways to do that. Okay, here's a good example. And so you want to make it as hard for white as possible and make them be very precise and very accurate about how they do the minority attack. Because there's lots of ways you can mess this up, little tactical ideas. Okay. Are there chest vibe hoodies? I think we just have t-shirts right now. We can add hoodies if you want one, but I didn't think that was going to be a huge selling thing, so I think we might have took them off. I have to check the store. Would you recommend this opening for Blitz Bullet? As I get slightly higher rated, I noticed that it's more common to play solid. Yeah, I mean, if you're comfortable with queen pawn stuff, yeah, Queen's Gambit's good. Okay. I think we will try to go play some games now and see if we can play some D4 and maybe get lucky and play some of these traps or something. So let me switch over here. And let's go for a little bit longer game. Play a 15-10. And oh, Jay's challenging me. Yeah, we can do that, I guess. Sure, let's do that. I'll play against Jay. So we can get a... We'll get a Queen's Gambit game. Actually, let me play white. Hold on a second. Challenge me again, Jay, but do it with black. And then, yeah, just play d5, and then play whatever you want after that, just so we can play Queen's Gambit. So I'm just going to play one right now because I want to just kind of talk through the thought process. And Jay's a member on the channel, so he gets special treatment. Although I don't know if Jay's there. Oh, it froze. Okay, it's fine. I'll just play a regular game and see if we can get lucky. It's okay. Jay, yeah, I mean, we're not really here to talk bad about other people, so I guess you can consider that a warning. Just waiting for a game, guys. I'm waiting for a longer one, so we might have to just wait a few minutes. Let me see. $20-minute game. Let's see if we can get one of those. I think I'm just going to play a random person. I want to get someone similar skill level, and maybe we can try the minority attack against a strong player to see how it works. And I think I may do a sub, play some subs pretty soon, because a lot of people have been asking. Can't seem to get a game tonight. Played Gotham or Eric Rosen, yeah. Yeah, the video will be posted on the channel after, so you can catch up. All right, we got a game. Hey, and we got white too. Here we go. D4. Let's see if we get D5. All right. All right. Here we go. Okay. I'm just gonna... So there's bishop g5. I like knight f3 because it's a little bit more flexible. I can still play bishop g5, or I can go to like f4 or something. So let's go knight f3. Oh, 1 second, guys. Okay. Okay. Bishop b4. So I don't know the theory here. I think bishop g5, and then there's like h6, g5, and then the knight comes to e4. I think other ways to play it are just like a3, just to force this trade right away. I think, since I don't know the theory, I'm just going to go that way to avoid some of the those lines I think are a little bit tricky. This is something that I guess is kind of a good thing to like pay attention to. If you're playing an opening and you really don't know theory in a certain line, then sometimes you just avoid it. Like, there's nothing wrong with that, you know? Like, don't play that line if you're not familiar with it. So I think this is kind of easier to play than some of those other lines. So we'll just go that way. Oh, you're supposed to take? That makes sense. That makes sense. Okay, so I guess we're not getting a minority attack this game. Okay, so the move that immediately comes to mind is queen to c2. I think that I'm supposed to do like e3, bishop d3, and eventually try to castle and like open up the center so that my bishops can become active. I'm not sure if this is okay first or if I'm supposed to just kind of hold off on this bishop right now. That's what I don't know. So there's e3, bishop f4. Yeah, and I think like honestly at this level, like it's a big disadvantage to be playing an opening that you really just don't like have a lot of experience in. So I'm gonna just go with e3. It's really passive, but um, I'm gonna just take my time with opening the center, and we'll get this guy out later. Oops. Do I feel extra stressed? Yeah, sometimes. Not as much. I'm starting to get used to streaming a little more. When I first started, though, definitely was. Okay. I mean, c5 almost looks kind of good because then this bishop's like, I guess b6, and this is an idea, but also I'm thinking like locking up the position when I have the bishop pair maybe isn't the smartest thing to do. Maybe just bishop d3. I don't really want to take because then this can come out here. So maybe just bishop d3 for right now. I guess f5 is probably coming next. I don't want to spend too much time here because I think this is a pretty safe move to play. Okay, I guess it's bishop b2. I don't know. Bishop d2 is okay. Give up the bishop pair, but that bishop's pretty passive anyway, so that's an idea. But I'm thinking of one day trading and pushing this and trading, and somehow this bishop becomes alive. So let's go for bishop b2. So it's a ways off, but I'm planning to open up some of these lines, hopefully. Obviously black's going to try to prevent me from doing that, right? So, okay, I'm thinking castling, I'm thinking moving the knight there, and then playing f3 to get rid of this knight, and then following it up with like e4 at some point. Knight e5, what about something like knight d7? I could trade, then play f3. Could also go here and play f3. Very passive. There's also just castling. I guess we can just castle first and see what black's gonna do, then make the decision about which way to go with the knight. But I definitely do, I think, want to play f3 and e4. I want to just bust open the center here. So that's got to happen at some point. Thanks, Kevin. Take it easy. Rook f6. I did think about that, but I guess I wasn't super concerned because I don't really know what the rook's going to do by itself. Queen's over here. If there was a queen over here, I'd feel more scared, but it's not, so. I'm thinking knight e5 and then f3. What else can I play? The c5 move, I'm not sure about, because I like that it kind of blocks in like this bishop and the queen, but then my bishop is like stuck at that point. So I'm thinking just knight e5. This feels right, like a good move. Then I have the option of f4 or f3. I don't really like f4 because then I'm never gonna break open this diagonal. There's no way, right? This is gonna be here forever. f3, then I have e4 and I can make some things happen. So I think I want to play f3. Okay, yeah. So the question now, what do we do with the knight? If I play f3 and he takes, then I can take. And I'm winning a piece, right? Because I have two attacks at the same time. So I could play f3 and I don't have to worry about this immediately, which means this knight would probably go here. Then there's h4. Knight could go there. Maybe I could trade for that knight. Okay, I think I like that. Basically, I want to open up the position, get the bishops involved. So let's make it happen. Let's try not to use all my time. And I'm fairly sure that that's just winning a piece. So we'll play f3. I guess knight d6 is also an option. I want to play e4. Takes. I feel like it doesn't make sense to take the knight because I'm just developing the bishop, helping out black. I think I would rather leave it because then when I recapture, I at least do it with tempo. And black still has the bishop sitting here. So I think, yeah, there's h4 too. Knight's not trapped though. It's almost trapped, but I don't know that that's really worth it. So what if I play e4? What happens here? If captures, then I take. The rook could come over here. Or it could just go back. Let's say, for the sake of calculation, that it goes here. Takes. So the rook probably has to defend that. So maybe rook f7 or rook f8. Then takes. You have bad pawns in that case. What if I take here first? The idea is that if that, then this is a weakness. So this way. That almost looks kind of good. And then I could follow up with e4, and I have much better pawn structure. And then this guy has the potential of coming out at some point. Okay, so maybe we trade off one of the pawns. Before, it let black's bishop out. Now, not so much. So this, and then maybe e4. And if here, I just take with the attack on the rook. So I like that. Okay. Let's do that. I'm trying to not get stuck with like double pawns here after this trades, and so I think now is a good time to get rid of that. Also, I'm thinking that now that this pawn's gone, I can start thinking about moving this, and eventually this bishop can become very nice. I mean, I think that's the move. Otherwise, this is just hanging, I think. Yeah, so queen takes probably doesn't make sense because c4, so I think he has to take this way. And then I really want to play e4. Yeah, okay. I really want to play e4. Just bust open the center. Captures, captures. The rook has to move somewhere. Let's say here. Then we can take, and play c4. And we've really opened up this. I mean, there's a pawn still, but it's starting to get there. Okay. So e4, what else can happen? Takes, takes, takes. I don't really want to give up that bishop. That's so I could play h4. So now I'm thinking, like, does it make sense to throw in the move h4 to force the knight back there? And then maybe trade and play e4. Because if like takes, 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 what am I going to play? If I do that, I give up the bishop, which... it's not the end of the world, but if I can keep it. Okay. That's a risky move. Question is it worth it? It's risky because then my king side it has some serious weaknesses. How else could I approach this? C4? The idea that puts some pressure on this diagonal. Huh. Okay, is there any other way to approach this? I don't like it. I'm gonna play h4 and then probably e4. F4. Um, yeah, I mean F4. Then the knight just comes back in here, and it's hard to deal with that. Okay, so now I'm thinking of taking this way because I don't want to develop the bishop for him and let the rook come over that easily. I think the best way to handle that is just taking this knight. I guess alternatively I could play this to defend with the bishop. I really want to get the center open though. I want to get the center open and get some of these diagonals open. So I think takes and then e4. That's what I'm thinking. Let's go ahead and do it so I don't run out of time. I could be way off here because this is kind of like maybe my king's gonna come under more pressure. Wow, king. Okay. So e4? That looks even better now, I think. Yeah, we gotta get these. I gotta get this diagonal open. That's like huge because this bishop's doing nothing. Once I trade these pawns off, hopefully I can push these and then get all these bishops involved. Fuzz. Yeah, king takes f7. I was not expecting that. It can't be good. I don't think that can be good. I mean, I guess the idea is he wants to use the rook over here, but I don't see how that's good. Knight to b6. Okay, so it's letting out the bishop. This is an idea as well to stop me from playing this and opening this diagonal. Okay. Yeah, this seems like a good move. So let's see. What if I take? I kind of want to just bring this rook over because this file is getting opened for sure somehow. Then I could even think about that maneuver. I'm just checking if I can trap the rook here, but I guess I can't. Huh. I mean, I could play there right now and then I could trap it. Problem with that is I'm blocking up the center, which is not really what I want to do. And I'd like for the rook to be over here before I bring the bishop back. I don't have to, though. Bishop c1 or rook e1. That's what I'm thinking. Okay, I guess let's just bring the rook over first. Okay. Wants to trade queens. The first thing that I want to check is... Can I trap the rook with this move? Could bring the queen over here. I don't really want to let him trade queens. There's takes. Takes. No, but then my bishop's hanging. I can't do what I was thinking. Queen f2. And then I have to watch out for this move. So what does that leave? There's almost a cool move here where I play bishop here. No, but my bishop's hanging. Gotta make a decision here. Alright, I guess we just go queen e2. I don't want to trade queens. And I can't go there because then this move looks bad for me, so... Queen e2, I mean, I have a threat, at least. He's probably going to play bishop d7, though, so... This is what I'm expecting. Is there some sort of trick here? Feels like there should be, but everything's like defended. Okay, bishop d7. I think we gotta take. Queen e7. How is there no better moves for me? Let's see. Just don't see anything. This bishop's got to get involved, so maybe I just go there. Okay, I wasn't expecting that. Now can I play bishop here? Takes. I think that works. So I'm going to take here first, and then I'm going to play bishop b5 and queen e8. That's my plan. That's my plan. I don't know if it was better to play there first or this. I mean, I guess that's just game over. So What's he gonna play instead? E5 is no good. Bishop D7. Takes. That's playable, I guess. Bishop D7 takes. Rook here. Queen C2. Or Queen F2. Yeah, okay, let's take that. Makes me wonder if it was better to play bishop there first because of that. Which one? Which one? I think I want to bring the queen over here, I think. But I don't know, maybe that was better. Also want to do this at some point, potentially, if we have time. Okay, I'm up some material. So I'm okay trading. Let's take that. Now we can trade. Now we can trade and go into a winning endgame. Just have to not lose on time. So I'm trying to look for ways to trade here. I'd like to go there maybe. I guess that's hanging. Check, king there. Maybe bishop f4. Maybe take this, rook c1, put the queen somewhere here on this diagonal and It's a tough position. I'm gonna go here, but this is gonna be hanging. Could also play h6, maybe queen h4. I could have traded, but then I don't know if I have time to win that. Maybe. Maybe I could have just traded. H6 looks okay. If he moves the queen, I can take that. Queen G4 maybe to come here. That's a fork. I think it's fine because I can take this. That almost is checkmate. Almost. That doesn't work because the queen covers it. So I gotta do this. If king h8, then I guess I just move the queen somewhere. Might play king h8. Where does the queen go? G4. G4, H5. I think G4. Okay. Do I have mate here? Check, check. No. Where's the mate? I don't see mate, so I might just take the rook and then try to push the pawns fast. Yeah, that should be okay. I don't see anything else. So let's just do that. I think we can win by pushing these pawns. Yep. Just have to avoid the queen checks, that's it. I think. Unless he's gonna trade queens and go over here and get a queen with his pawns. Okay, well now we're good. Whew. Okay, we had it. I wanted to keep it interesting. I had to keep it interesting for you guys. That's why I get low on time every game. It's all part of the plan. Queen f4 won the rook cleanly. Let's go see that. let's go see that. Yeah, I felt like I was missing a lot of stuff. I felt like I was missing a lot of things. Wow, that was a long game. That was a lot of moves. Okay, queen f4 where? Yes. So the reason I pre-moved it was because I wasn't expecting him to go there. I thought he was going to go like here. I think. Is that what I thought? I don't know what I thought, because then I can play, like on king g8, I can play here, right? Yeah, yeah, that's true. Anyway. Any tips on hitting 2200 as a 2000? What did I do? I'm trying to think. I think the biggest thing for me was I learned more opening theory, to be honest with you. My tactics were pretty good at 2000, about what they are now, but I didn't really know much theory. So I learned a bunch of theory and some lines that came up a lot, and that really helped me. Like I had some nice wins against like IMs and drew a couple GMs with my like bishop b5 Sicilian lines. So that's the biggest thing, I guess. All right. I am going to just play a couple of Blitz games and call it a night. Hope you guys learned something. Have you ever beat a GM? Yeah, I've beaten a GM. I've beat a couple GMs. Maybe 2 or 3. What do I want to play? Let's play 3 minute. Or 1 minute. I guess we'll play c6 because I want to leave this bishop here for now. Let's do it. Let's do it. Do you use functions for your spreadsheets? Yeah. Yeah. All kinds of stuff. Got all different formulas. I've got some macros. I paid someone on Fiverr to like design part of it for me that I was wanting done differently. So that spreadsheet's pretty nice. Okay. What do I normally play here? I think like knight g4 maybe is an idea. Knight f1. Okay. h5 or just bring this knight over? Let's see. Let's bring this knight in. Okay. Maybe I can take and play c5 to buy myself a little more time. Or what other moves? Yeah, we'll try that. We'll try that. Oh, there's queen b5 though. I didn't see that. That's not good. That is not good. Oh well. Comes with the territory. When you don't castle, there are consequences for not castling. As we shall see. Okay, let's get rid of this bishop so I can defend my pawn. That's defended. I need to get some more pieces over here. We got h5 and rook up here. We've got rook here. I don't know where that rook's gonna go. We've got... Ooh, does that do anything? No, then this is hanging. Okay, so maybe it's h5. Well, that's under attack though too. Guess I'm just trying to defend this. Maybe bring the rook over, try to get some breathing room for the king. 23 seconds. Maybe I can flag him. I want to take that, but I can't because of this. Okay, I gotta move this now. Let's go here. That's the threat. Let's bring the rook over. You can go here. Or even this, actually. Okay. Have that. I don't think that was a great move, but I gotta go. I gotta go. Oh. Of course. Of course. I don't know what I could have played there, though. Alright, let's play faster, guys. Oh, here we go. Bishop b5. Yes. Yes. b5. No, that's not good. That's not good. I think I can just take this. Yeah, and then I can just bring this back. Should be good for me. I'm just gonna come over here and trade this bishop off. Wow. Okay. This guy is fearless. This guy is fearless. Have you ever seen someone play like this before? Or do I take this way and bring my knight there? Yeah, maybe. Is there any threat here? This? I guess that's a threat. Okay, what about this move? Yeah, what about that move? That's a cool trick. We also have the discovered attack. King's cut off here. Okay, there's that and knight g5, or there's this. King takes. No, my rook is pinned. Okay, the rook's pinned, so we have to do this, right? Okay. That took longer than it should have. What a weird position. What a weird position. I would hate to lose this game on time. I would hate it. We gotta go get a queen here. That's how we win this game. We get a queen with this pawn. Okay, just don't stalemate. No. That's painful. That is painful. Gotta work on my king and queen checkmates. Apparently. What do I play here? I think I can do like... Can I do knight c6? I think you can let him take this and just get the rook over there later. Yeah, I think this is good, right? Let's see. Is it knight b4? It's hard to deal with this, I believe. Knight a3, and then it's like queen over, maybe? And then I have also bishop c5. What's better here? Let's see. Bishop c5, rook e8 looks pretty good, but I can immediately go check. Maybe just bishop c5 is better. Just take it slow. Get control of this, and now we can do rook e8, queen e7. Okay. Let's put the rook there. Oh, king f1. Okay. I feel like that maybe I missed something. Maybe I misplayed this somehow. I don't know. I might check this game after to see what happened here. I feel like I misplayed something there. Wow. What is happening now? Gotta move. I don't know. I don't know. Like, there's this move, there's this. I'm just hanging my knight now. Great. Great. Definitely got to check this one. This was badly misplayed. This was badly misplayed. Did we do it? Oh no. Oh man. I didn't see that. Ah. Okay. All right, we got to analyze this game. We got to analyze this game. I thought he was mated here. I thought this was going to happen. That's what I thought was going to happen. Yeah, g5. What's the mate here? Is there a mate here? Check. King here. I don't know. Is there a mate? Does anyone see mate? H6. Or maybe I just bring the king up? Is that how I win this? Let's turn on the engine. I want to see this one. That was an interesting game. Alright. What did I mess up here? Okay. Alright, so knight b4 and bishop c5 are both good. Yep, bishop c5 was correct. Okay. Oh, knight h5. Huh. Oh no, now it's saying rook e8. Okay, so rook e8 was fine too. Alright, king f1. Now knight h5. Huh. This move. Such a weird move. I guess you gotta get the queen over here right away. Interesting. So what if like g4? What's the move? Rook takes e2? What am I missing? This is crazy. What is the idea? Now queen h4? Sheesh. Knight d4. Knight d3 to block the queen from defense. I mean, this is nuts. Look at this. Wow. This is the... This is kind of like the Icelandic Gambit, except there's this f3 move thrown in there. Wow. Okay. I don't think I was going to see all that in a 3-minute game, but good to know for next time. Knight h5. Got to pay attention to this. With the idea of that and this and all kinds of stuff. Alright, let's see what happened in the game. I played queen e7. Still have an advantage. Not as much, though. Okay, knight d3, g4. Yeah, this was bad. This was a bad move. Knight f2. I thought about playing this move, but I didn't see... Like, yeah, after queen e1, I wasn't sure what the point was. I guess just take the rook? No. Knight 6 takes g4. F takes g4. Bishop e4. What? This is so weird. This is so weird. I don't even know what's happening. Knight c2 is the move. Top move for white. Knight c2. Okay. Well, I wanted a crazy game. I got a crazy game. Then we kind of threw it away here. And then... Okay. Oh, rook takes e1 in this position. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, because then the queen's still hanging if he tries to take. But I had 8 seconds, so. Let's see if there was a mate somewhere here. Okay, not yet. Okay, H3. No mate. After G5, nope, there's no mate. Okay. So I don't feel so bad for missing mate, because there wasn't mate. Wow, that was a fun game. Alright, that's going to do it for me, guys. Thanks for tuning in. If you didn't catch all the opening traps, you can watch the replay. I'll put it on there. Yeah. Have a good week. I'm going to get some sleep. And then work tomorrow. Yeah, thanks a lot, Fez. It was fun. See you guys next week. Maybe we can do the Icelandic Gambit next week. After that game kind of inspires me to go learn that some more. And I already know some stuff, but there's obviously a lot more to learn. Yep, no problem, Joel. Nitesh, next Wednesday, same time. Wednesday, 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. All right, guys, take it easy.